podcast brought to you by Chinook Seedery, our main seed partner. If you want 10% off all your sunflower seed needs, use discount code The Skipper's View. Hagen, dude, we got a lot to talk about. For those who don't know, first time listeners joining in, I'm Brett. It's Hagen. Hagen's a big Mets fan. I'm a big Yankee fan. We've had a different weird weeks in baseball this week because the Yankees still really haven't done anything, and the Mets, we'll talk more about the Mets through several segments of this show. But wanted to just give everyone like a little refresher what's going on. As our resident Yankee fan, let's get started with Boston. So, Boston, all I keep hearing is that signing Alex Bregman is the priority for this ball club. Yet they make another deal. So Hein Bloom, Craig Breslow, they make their second deal this offseason, which is like kind of crazy. Hein Bloom, for those who don't know, came from Boston. He was fired in that job, and now he's the president of baseball operations down in St. Louis. So the Red Sox get Wilson Contreras, and the Red Sox also get cash to kind of offload his salary a little bit. The Cardinals get Hunter Dobbins, Yohir, oh my gosh, Yoiker Fajardo. I definitely butchered that name, and I apologize. He was not Boston's number 23 prospect, and Blake Ada. So Hagen, for me as a Yankee fan, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like them getting another bat of Contreras's caliber into the Boston lineup. Where are you at with this? I think it's a good move for Boston. Where are you at on this deal?
I actually love it for Boston. I mean, they needed a bat, and obviously they've been in on a lot of bats this offseason, as we've seen almost everybody. And you had a guy that's going to slot in the middle of their lineup right away there. Obviously, he's a little bit older, but he still rakes. I mean, he has at least a 124 WRC plus every single year since 2022. He plays good defense at first base, so there's kind of a question now with Casas, what's going to happen there, which is an interesting conversation. But I mean, Contreras is still a guy who's going to hit for a lot of power out there. He likes to pull his fly balls a lot too. That the monster, that's going to play there. If you're hitting your high fly balls in the air and pulling them, that's going to be great over there. Has a lot of power still has really high bat speed too at this age. I mean, even last year too, it was his first time at first base, and he was 77th percentile in fielding run value. Graded out tremendously over there. Obviously, he was a good catcher back in the day, but I think this is a great get for Boston. Obviously, he has a little bit of swing and miss issues, but they needed a power bat in the middle of the order that I can give them 20, 25 home runs. And I think that's what Wilson Contreras is.
We have three things today on the hot corner. And as you were talking about Triston Casas, I kind of had a hot take come in. And I'm gonna jump to number three on the hot corner here and make a prediction. I think Casas is gonna get moved. I think that there's certain teams that value him, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen preseason. I think that Boston's gonna roll him out there as like a DH, if not a first baseman, once he's healthy. Is he fully back, by the way, but as I go on with this?
I mean, Ross Resource on Fangraphs has him still projected to be on the injured list to start the year. He got surgery on May 5th last year.
Okay. Let's just assume he's back. I think either A, Boston's going to somehow convince a team to buy him now without seeing him in a groove, and they're going to get some sort of starting pitcher, probably in the back end, or they're going to get a team like Miami who's got plenty of pitching talent and bait them once Triston Casas is like hot for a month. Because I had it in my last piece that Ryan O'Hearn should be Miami's main target. They need a first baseman. And now that Ryan O'Hearn is joining the Pirates down in Pittsburgh and really bolstering this lineup, I think that Triston Casas going to Miami isn't crazy. So I'm going to predict that Boston makes a deal with Miami for one of their pitchers, and they send them Triston Casas at some point. I'm not predicting a date. That's just the team, the suitor, and where I think Casas is going to end up and how Boston's going to manage adding Contreras into the fold.
I mean, I don't think a Casas trade's even out the window there because if you just look at this lineup now and it seems like they really want to add another bat. It said they were in on Brendan Donovan still after this, so it's seeming like they're going to add somebody else. And then already right now, Jarren Duran slotted in as the DH. And I know that he's probably going to get moved, it seems like, this offseason. But then if you get another bat, there's no spots open right now for these guys. Like you could run it, like you don't need to do this. I mean, Tristan Casas kind of just ran out of a spot here. And I know you can't really put all the eggs in that basket there. I know a lot of possibly people were impatient with him. I know it was especially last off season. A lot of people thought he was the future and a future superstar, but now he really hasn't performed that well at the big league level. And obviously, a big injury hurts him a lot. Like that, that sucks to have there. But Boston said going forward, we want this guy Willson Contreras to play first base for us. It kind of tells you, in my mind, how they feel about Costas going forward.
Exactly. So I don't think they're going to hesitate to move them. Even like, they're in Miami. I keep picking on, but there's plenty of teams with a lot of pitching depth that they can make him move. They can move him to maybe the Brewers. Actually, I don't know if that makes sense for the Brewers, but you know what I mean. There are plenty of teams out there that are looking for a nice power bat that has a lot of high edge, pedigree and raw talent. We'll see how that works out. I do want to jump into the Pirates a little bit because we didn't get the highlight on the last show. We had I guess we figured it out after the show. For those who did listen to our last show, I saw a breaking news alert and I thought it was a trade that was happening there and then. And then Hagen after the show was like, hey, I think this happened like an hour or two ago. I think you briefly said on the show. What did we ultimately find out there that they finalized the deal and the players included in it after, like when I was reading it and you just heard about it like 2 hours ago, players to be named?
Yeah, so we were recording, I think it was around like 2 p.m. Eastern, and it was probably around 11 to noon Eastern. It came out the deal, and I think all the players were the exact same. And I thought it was finalized, but it apparently wasn't finalized yet. They still had some logistics to work out in there. And then when we were live, that's when it got finalized. So I told you that this already happened. It's not breaking news, but it actually was breaking news because it got finalized. So just a big mix up there.
Yeah, and for all that confusion, the reason why I bring it up is because we didn't really talk about Brandon Lowe getting moved from Tampa Bay to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is all over bats this offseason. If they want Paul Skeens to have any, sign or telltale that he'll sign an extension there, they need to improve the offense. I think it's pretty clear by adding O'Hearn to a 2-year, $29 million deal after also moving for Brandon Lowe. Their lineups, let's not forget, Spencer Horowitz had a down year because he was injured last year for a lot of ball games. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but Horowitz, a projected lineup right now looks like Horowitz at first, Lowe at second, Brian Reynolds, who also had a down year, and it's hard to be good in a bad offense. And like, I know that doesn't make sense, but it does at the same time. Less chances for runs. You're pitched too differently. Less chances for RBIs. Everything of your counting stats goes down in a worse offense. So Brian Reynolds now is going to be batting in the middle, a former All-Star, of Lowe and O'Hearn. If Nick Gonzalez proves a little bit at shortstop, who knows? O'Neill Cruz at center field, Jared Triolo at third, Jake Magnum at left, and then Joey Bart at catcher. Who's to say that the Pirates, I don't think that there's really, really bad blood between Pittsburgh and St. Louis. Why can't Pittsburgh go out and trade a few of their pitching prospects for Nolan Arenado? And I think this lineup goes from good to like pretty solid. And if they don't go the Arenado route, they could also, Bo Bichette is still on the market. Like, Bo Bichette, Nick Gonzalez, who would you rather have? I'm not trying to pick on Nick Gonzalez, but Bo Bichette's been a top like 10 hitter in hits every year for the last like 4 years. And he missed a ton of games last year. So there's still plenty of options. And the Pirates, they have plenty of money to spend if they do spend it. Hagen, what do you think? Do you think they're going to continue adding, or do you think this is kind of just a fling this week with two big moves?
I just do not believe in the Pittsburgh ownership to really do anything money wise. I mean, even today they signed O'Hearn to, I believe it was Ryan O'Hearn, to a 2-year, $29 million deal. That's the largest free agent contract they get onto a hitter in franchise history. It's the most money they've given to a free agent since I think it's Ivan Herrera, whatever his name is, since 2016. Like, that's not even that big of a deal. Like, it was a platoon bat for most teams, and you sign him, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a great sign for Pittsburgh. And obviously you get Lau. I love having them in the lineup there. You get Jake Maynard to come up there too. At some point too, you're going to have Nick Gonzalez getting replaced with Connor Griffin, the number one prospect in all of baseball, which is going to be a big boost too. He's probably going to be up there within the first 2 weeks of the season. And that lineup looks a lot better than it did last year. I mean, last year, this lineup was the second worst in all of baseball, 18% below league average as a team. It was just horrendous. They didn't have a single league average hitter that was qualified at the end of the year. Like, that was one of the worst offenses I've seen in my entire life. And I love Pittsburgh making the moves here. Obviously, you get a Hearn slots in there. 127 WRC plus last year, slides there in the middle of your order. That's awesome. Lau at a 114 WRC plus slides at the top of the order too. That's awesome. Jake Mangum, yeah, 95 WRC plus, but you could use a guy like that on your team. But to me, like, this offense is still bottom 10 in baseball. And I was talking to people about this earlier today. I don't think the Pirates are that good still. I'm not really drinking the Pirates Kool-Aid here. I know they have all the arms and all this stuff, but their offense is still awful. Their
No,
bullpen is still one of the worst in baseball.
yeah, no, you're definitely not wrong. I'm trying to look at it the optimistic side. Like if I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm kind of stoked. Like Brandon Lowe, Ryan O'Hearn, you kidding me? Compared to what they had, like these are massive upgrades. And I think by just being in the same locker room, that's going to add to Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz's game. Like it's not just them two anymore. And it's like, okay, the former All Star and Brian Reynolds and the alien who does really cool things every once in a while, O'Neill Cruz. Like there's other components of the lineup to focus on. I would love for them to go after Nolan Arenado. Doubt they could do it. I think Nolan Arenado has a no trade clause, like to multiple teams, and I can't imagine Pittsburgh being the one team that he would actually move to. But you know what I mean? They have a lot of ways to be creative, and the Nolan Arenado take's hot. That was a hot take, but I'll walk that one back. But and Bo Bichette likely to not happen. But you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that the Pittsburgh Pirates now can do where their lineup goes from a bottom third lineup to a middle of the pack lineup, and yeah, that's the difference in winning more games and making the playoffs at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Let's jump. Oh,
And
sorry.
you have a good point there too about like how having those guys in the lineup now opens it up for Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz because with how bad the offense was last year, we kind of saw it with James Wood too on the Nationals where he was mashing in the first half and then people started figuring it out and they just said, "Hey, he's the only good batter in this lineup. Obviously, he's in front of him, but like we can just pitch around him. Why should we attack him? Just pitch around him." And obviously, they're gonna have to pitch to guys like Reynolds now and O'Neill Cruz. O'Neill Cruz, I think, had a little bit of a buy-in issue, but maybe with the team being more competitive, at least he's gonna feel better. And if they do need a third baseman like Arenado, obviously, if he probably declined the trade, if I had to guess, I don't know. But one I will say that they could get, and it wouldn't be too high of a price, is Mark Vientos from the New York Mets. I mean, the way I view it right now, I don't think Mark Vientos is going to be a Met, and his price isn't going to be that expensive either because it's a guy who has a lot of volatility to him. You don't know if he's going to be a 650 OPS guy, but he still has 800 OPS potential in him too. But he's out of options, so if he fails, he has to be DFA'd, and which lowers the price a lot for teams that are buying him. So I think like the Pits would be a great team to go buy Mark Vientos.
Yeah, and I wrote about this one player this week actually. One more guy into Pittsburgh, and then we'll be done talking about the Pirates. But I wrote about a third baseman that has a lot of upside, but hasn't been that good. And the one player that is Juan Moncada. I wrote about him going to the Nationals because the Nationals are at a point where they need to completely rebuild and sell because, as you just mentioned, their lineup stinks with a capital S. Juan Moncada, he's still is a solid ball player, and I think that adding him into third base and can mix and match with him and DH and O'Hearn can play outfield a couple games. You can get really creative with guys like these utility guys, and I don't want to call Moncada utility guy actually because he has primarily played third base, but you can move him around, and I think that by doing that, he last year he batted 234, but in 2023 he batted 260. He batted 275 in 2024. Like that isn't that far away. He had one down year from those 260, 275 years, and like you put that in the fifth, sixth, seventh spot in this lineup. I would love the Yankees to have guys who hit 270. It seems like it's only Judge sometimes who's hitting, but we can move on. It's just a name I want to throw out there. Let's talk about the Mets because they made another deal this week. But Hagen, I'm going to let you take this one away.
Yeah, so the shakedown of like the Mets core from the last 5 or so years, it's now complete with Jeff McNeil getting traded to the Athletics and basically just a salary dump there. The Mets are sending over $5 million, $5.75 million. So the A's are going to have to pay him $10 million this year, and he has a club option for the next year following. If they decide to decline that, the Mets will pay the $3 million buyout on that. But the Mets just get in return, they get a 17-year-old pitching prospect, Jordan Rodriguez, who just barely got signed. I believe it was January 15th by the A's, $400,000. So get a young arm that look maybe 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, you can look and say, hey, we got this. But the way I viewed this on the Mets side of things was this was more the Mets needed to clear a major league roster spot right now because they only had room for one guy and they need to add two more bats at least in this lineup. So you had to get rid of somebody there. And obviously, getting rid of Jeff McNeil improves some. You get rid of some salary too. You can now spend to go out and spend on other guys too, which I really like there. But for the A side of things, like I love it for them even more than I do for the Mets side here because there's a lot of misconception with Jeff McNeil. I think a lot of Mets fans just say this guy sucks and they hate him just because they don't like his attitude. Jeff McNeil is still a very good baseball player. Jeff McNeil is still a 3 to 3.5 win player when healthy every single year. The Oakland A's were one of the worst teams at second base production last year. Jeff McNeil had a 115 WRC plus every single month besides September, and he was dealing with an issue they had to get surgery for in the offseason late in the year. Like Jeff McNeil is still a great hitter. I put a tweet out about it yesterday too. The ballpark he's in, it's an amazing ballpark. It adds the second most distance to any ballpark. Obviously, it's 1 year of data, so it's not. It could change vary a little bit from year over year here. It's a AAA ballpark, though. I mean, everyone mashes last year. If you watched the Athletics last year, you saw how many fun games they had that were high scoring. And obviously the pitching has just been getting crushed there. So I love this get for the Athletics.
I love it. Still on his Mets bandwagon with him moving to the Athletics. He's like, yup, I'll defend him. He's a Met.
I've been a long time Jeff McNeil defender for multiple years now.
No, and that's that's good. I love that. Like honestly, for me, that was like Brett Gardner. I defended him way too long. I like even got in a fight with Dean at one point when I was like young, naive, and did not know shit about baseball. I was like, Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, virtually the same player. Like it was something ridiculous like that. I shit you not. But no, good times, good times. Let's keep moving on. Yeah, it was a salary dump move by the Mets, and we'll just bring this up now because we're in this. So the Mets they traded McNeil. They've also traded Nimmo. They have let Alonso and Edwin Diaz walk. So these were their four longest tenured players. Hagen, do you have a problem with the way that the Mets are doing this, or do you like the wholesale, like we're getting rid of the old guard, we're coming in with the the young buck?
Emotionally, I really haven't tried to think about it that way, and the last year or so I've tried to not think emotionally about the team. But this was my favorite Mets core. Like this was my first Mets core in my lifetime that I got to grow up and watch all these guys' careers and watch it end. But at the end of the day, they didn't win anything. They have one NLCS appearance and a 2022 wildcard appearance where they choked down the stretch. They did nothing as a core, even though they were great players. I put a tweet out today. The three of the top four leaders in F4 since 2019 for the Mets. Nimmo's 2, Alonso's 3, McNeil's 4. Lindor's number 1, and he didn't even get to the team until 2021. So it's a new core now. It's Lindor, Soto, and we're going to find that out. Are they going to go sign somebody long-term? Are they going to trade for someone? The prospects come up here, but I'm not really too mad with what they're doing here. I think the Alonso's the one that I'm still a little iffy on. I can see why they didn't go 5 years here. McNeil I can see just because you needed to open up some other spots. I still think he's a very good player though. Nimmo I could see just because that one was more just getting out of the contract long term. But I think too, like the Mets felt fine getting rid of Nimmo, McNeil, Alonso. Obviously they showed that. But I think the Diaz is the one that they're still pissed off about as an organization because that was the one where they were shocked that the guy did not come back to them. Alonso didn't even offer him a contract. They obviously traded away McNeil and Nimmo. Diaz kind of just told them that I want to go play for the Dodgers, not you guys. And I think that one, and the organization was surprised. So I think he was in the plans to come back here, but I don't know. I'm not mad with David Stearns. Obviously, this guy's one of the smartest guys in baseball, and he's got a plan. Yeah, you got me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My internet kicked out there for a second. Not sure if it's still going, but Uh, yeah, on Fangraphs, and my computer like died. I was trying to pull something up. Uh, so what I was going to talk about was the Yankees. They signed Paul Blackburn to a deal here. Paul Blackburn, 1 year, $2 million. Turned 32 earlier this month. He's been limited by injuries his entire career. So last 2024, he had a 4.66 across 14 starts between the A's and the Mets. Following the 2024 campaign, Blackburn had a procedure to repair a cerebrospinal fluid leak in his back. Sounds awful. So he was with the Mets last year, was released in August, and the Yankees signed him right after. Had 8 appearances, 15 and a third innings. He had a 5.28 ERA last year at the end of the year. Uh, I don't, it's not a pretty signing. And it's weird because I just keep seeing Yankees relievers who I like Devin Williams and Luke Weaver. They all just keep heading to Queens. So, well, the Yankees, I think they're being patient. And I think Yankee fans are getting impatient where they really want to get Kyle Tucker, one of these big free agents. And remember who the freaking Yankees are. We're like, I'm not going to say we, but the Yankees, they're spenders. They are spenders. Like, your farm system continuously has a few big names, and they've been doing a very good job with pitching development, especially across the last 2-3 years. And there's plenty of results to look at that. But that being said, the Yankees, they're right now, I think they're kind of lowballing Belly, and they're sticking at their number. And I don't necessarily love that because I was like, Belly's really freaking good. And it's not like Belly had a great year. It's not like he's not a one-hit wonder if they're worried about that. He won an MVP, and it was several years before last year. And he was good with Chicago, like after his Dodgers stint. Yes, he did have a little bit of a downturn in his career at one point. Who doesn't? I'm really scared the Yankees are going to wait on they're going to be, I think they're waiting really because they want to get Kyle Tucker. And I think they're willing to let Belly walk if they can get Tucker. I just don't think they're going to get Tucker. I don't think that Kyle Tucker wants to sign with New York. And I for some reason, I think too many good things are happening with Toronto right now. And something's just telling me that Tucker's going to be not a Yankee. I don't know what it is. It's in my gut. I could be dead wrong on this. But I'm just scared the Yankees are going to be too patient around Tucker and then get burned and then not be able to get anyone to improve this roster. That they really want. I don't know if they need another starter, maybe just a swingman at the end of the rotation, because they're going to get Cole back. They have Luis Hill. They have Rodon. They have Fried. They have Cam Schlittler. They also Will Warren. They have a lot of guys. And I'm trying to think, is anyone injured that I just named? And then Clark Schmidt, I forgot what his status is right now too. But they got a lot of arms. They got a lot of arms to talk about. And they got Aaron Judge. They need to buy. Right now is the time. I can't say it enough. You're like Aaron Judge. The fact that Aaron Judge makes people discuss who's a better hitter between him and Ohtani should tell you how good Aaron Judge is, because Ohtani's like the best player that we've ever seen. And I've been watching baseball now. I've been around for 32 years. I haven't been watching for all 32, but he's the best player outside of like Bonds that my age of people have seen. And Aaron Judge is right freaking there. And the Yankees are not going to get another guy like this. The last guy they had of this caliber, he was a cheater, and he came to them at the back end of his career. Did he have great years with the Yankees? Yeah, he did. But Alex Rodriguez was not Alex Rodriguez when he got to the Yankees. Alex Rodriguez, when he got to the Yankees, was not what Aaron Judge is right now. Aaron Judge is better than what A-Rod was as a Yankee, in my opinion. I'll pause. They need to sign someone. Are you, I guess, not disappointed, but are you shocked the Yankees have been this patient, Hagen?
I am a little shocked. Yeah, I mean, they've been really quiet. Like, obviously, they've made some good between the margin moves. Obviously, Amin Rosario bring him back. Obviously, Paul Blackburn's kind of slotted a swingman role there for you. Can fill in some innings there, especially with a guy like Colk back from injury. Yeah, like Rodon got a bone spur removed at his elbow, so you're gonna have to fill some innings early on. Paul Blackburn can do that. Very cheap price. Probably not gonna be on the team the entire year if I had to assume so. And I think they're doing those moves, which is good. Like, obviously, every team has to make those moves, but it is just weird because normally the Yankees try to go out with the splash early on. That's not to say they're not going to do one otherwise. I mean, obviously, they had the Trent Grisham on the qualifying offer, but qualifying offer, you view that a little bit differently in a free agent. I would just say my opinion here. But I'm a little surprised too. Yeah, I know the Bellinger market seems just extremely like he's asking for a ridiculous amount of money, from my understanding. So I can see maybe they're why they're waiting out on that, but they've been real quiet. Like normally, I feel like the Yankees are in on a lot of guys that you at least hear about. It's been very quiet this offseason. All I've really heard is Tatsuya and Mai and Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker have been the only ones. And obviously, three of the top four free agents left. But are you willing to go out and get them? Or are you trying to do what these teams like the Mets and the Red Sox doing? And we're saying, hey, we're not going over this price. You have to meet our price. You want to come here.
Dude, dream scenario. Yankees somehow flip Grisham to a team in desperate need of outfield for a few high end relievers. I don't know who that partner is right now. They sign Belly and Tucker and Imai and get all of that. That's not gonna happen. But yeah, we'll keep jumping. Another AL team, the Seattle Mariners, who had heartbreak last year and their season. They signed Rob Refsnyder to a 1 year deal. So it's a $6.25 million deal, up to $250,000 incentives. So it's almost 3.5 times what he made last year in Boston. Refsnyder versus left-handed pitching since 2022. He's fifth in batting average with a 312. He's third in OBP at 407. He's 12th in slugging at 516. Sixth in OPS with a 924. His WRC plus, which league average is 100, is 155, which is fifth. He mashes against left-handed pitchers. This is a great addition to the lineup. Both it could be platoon or an everyday kind of guy, depending what the week looks like for that week, if they're versing more lefties than not. So Hagen, much more Seattle needs to do here. We know they got the pitching. We know they got hitting talent. They already made a few key signs with Naylor and now Refsnyder. They have Julio. They got Cal. What else does this team need to do?
It seems like they're going to look at second base here. Obviously, you have Cole Young that could be there right now. He's slotting against the open day second baseman, but everything we've heard this offseason at Seattle Mariners want a second baseman, whether it's Cattell, whether it's Brendan Donovan. The way I read that between the tea leaves there is just kind of telling me that they don't really feel comfortable with Cole Young there and they want something better than that next year because they have World Series aspirations now as a team that became so close last year, an inning away from making the World Series on a team that choked the World Series. So I think they're looking for something better than Cole Young there. But I think the Rob Refsnyder signing is amazing for him. Obviously, like you said, phenomenal against left-handed pitching. He had a 155 WRC plus in those years you listed, 159 last year with a 959 OPS against left-handed pitching. Honestly, is not a very good hitter against right-handed pitching, so he probably won't get too much time against righties, but obviously you can still slide in there if you need him to. But against left-handed pitchers, he's going to be one of the best hitters in all of baseball against them. So I love this deal for the Seattle Mariners.
I want to talk about this guy. Hagen, you take this one away. Zach Pop, reliever, signs with the Phillies, former Met.
Yeah, so Zach Pop last year pitched a couple innings for the Mets last year. He signed a major league deal with the Philadelphia Phillies the other day, which I honestly thought was kind of crazy. I didn't think he was going to get a major league deal by any means. I really didn't. I thought he was just going to get a minor league deal, but only pitched 5 games last year, put up a 14.85 ERA, but obviously not small of a sample. It's okay. But, I mean, he has a good fastball. I mean, 83rd percentile last year in fastball velo. It's a sinker, slider, cutter combo that he mixes the sinker pretty well in there, but nothing special here. I think it's just more of a spot of, hey, let's go cheap here and try to finish out our bullpen. That bullpen too that already is very, very solid. And maybe, hey, we'll sign him to a cheap deal here. I don't expect him to be on the team the entire year. I would expect him to kind of hold a spot until they feel someone in the minor leagues is ready and develop to come up and take a spot there.
Interesting. I want to talk about Alex Bregman a little bit. We brought him up earlier for a second, but we really haven't talked about him in the last few episodes. And I don't know why not, because he's definitely a top 10, let alone probably top 5 free agent right now out on the market. And it just seems like all we heard is Boston. Then we heard Detroit was a done deal. Then a few weeks ago, Arizona came into play where it's like, oh, is Arizona going to be a dark horse? And now we're hearing even the Cubs are in on Bregman. So right now, ESPN Kylie McDaniel is predicting a 5-year, $170 million deal. The Athletics' Tim Britton is putting him at a 171 million over 6 years. So only really a year in difference in those two deals, but obviously the AAV would change substantially for an extra year. Who do you think Bregman's going to ultimately go to? And what do you think makes the most sense for Bregman?
I think Boston makes the most sense in my opinion there, but obviously he's not coming down to what Boston wants. If Boston's standing true on their price, they're not going to raise that as we've seen so far. I think it's the best fit for him. I don't really know if that's going to happen though. But like I think the Cubs would be a good fit too. Obviously, it depends more on the Matt Shaw thing. You're kind of fading him out in that sense. If you're doing that, he had a great second half last year, with like a 130 WRC plus second half for him. So you're fading him out. So I don't think he's like a true Chicago needs him by any means. Obviously, would love to do that. Obviously, you lose a Kyle Tucker. You want to help the offense back a little bit. The Diamondbacks, I really only see that if they trade Ketel Marte, just because they're a team I feel like they just can't afford, unless the owner, Ken Kendrick's going to just up it like they did last year. It's like Corbin Burns and approve the spending there. I can't see him adding $25 million, whatever it's going to be in payroll, just right away without getting rid of something. So, like, I think if Bregman signs with Arizona, that tells me that Ketel Marte is highly likely to get moved. And then I don't know, like it's coming down. Honestly, it looks like Detroit's getting a good position here. I know they were in on him last year too. They like him a lot. Clearly, it's looking like Detroit could be the team here for Alex Bregman.
I tend to agree with you. I think Arizona's got too many guys that they need in terms of the rotation and just bullpen arms. They need to focus on the arms. I think their offense is really good. I think that they got guys like Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll. Why would you move them? If you like, Ketel Marte might be the best at his position in the league. Corbin Carroll, he's easily a top 10 outfielder. I think he's closer to a top 6 outfielder than a top 10. I think Corbin Carroll's that good. He's also, his speed is, untouchable. I think you got, I'm trying to think who else in the Arizona lineup, just as I'm, going here. Who am I forgetting about? Lourdes Gurriel, he's still there, correct?
I believe so too. You have like a Pavin Smith who actually like rakes against right-handed
Dude,
pitching a lot.
he was awesome until he got injured last year. I missed him in Dynasty Baseball last year.
He was great last year. And
Yeah,
even too, you add like a Geraldo Perdomo, who was the most underrated 7-WAR season I think I've ever seen last year. Like they have 3 MVP candidates on this team right now in this lineup.
he's been so underrated. I just forgot him, and he's been good for 2 years in a row, not just one. Like Perdomo is slept on. So I think that Arizona's going to pivot. They're going to go spend on arms. I think Boston has a fair shot. I would love to see him go to Detroit simply because they already have arms and eh, they have arms. I'll sit there. They need improvements on the offense, and he would exactly inject that power and hit tool that they need. And then the Cubs, they're already loaded on offense. I think that they could just simply go spend on arms like Arizona as well. So I think it'll come down to Boston, Detroit. I would much rather see him go to Detroit just because I'm a Yankee fan, but odds are he's going to end up in Boston, in my opinion. Not going to drag on this one just because, I think we're going to take a full segment of a episode coming up here soon on the WBC. But for the World Baseball Classic, Bryce Harper informs that he intends to play for Team USA. This USA lineup is just getting more and more stacked by the day. And the Dominican Republic lineup is also ridiculous, but that's why I want to talk about it on another episode where we can actually like break it down and go through it. We talked about this on our last takes, and Hagen, any last takes before I go about our famous baseball card up for sale?
I mean, we kind of skimmed over this. We didn't really hit on it early on, but maybe the most shocking move this entire offseason that's happened is Munetaka Murakami signing with the Chicago White Sox. These two came into the offseason, looked like he was going to get close to $200 million. He signs a 2-year, $34 million contract with the team. That blew me out of that blew my mind that he would to the Chicago White Sox. It came in 24 hours before he was talking to the White Sox, and I thought it was a joke pretty much. No, like great for the White Sox, man. They have built such a fun team to watch next year, a fun young team that has a lot of upside on it. Like Munetaka Murakami is the perfect guy for the White Sox to take a shot on. Because if he doesn't work out, that's okay. Like you had the money to spend anyways, and you're not really trying to compete right now. You're just trying to see what you have. If he's great, you have a great piece to trade. You can trade him at the deadline this year. You can trade him at the deadline next year. Like it's a great piece. And it's kind of funny too that he got the 2-year deal, looking to improve his contract issues. Then he'll get a bigger deal. Ironically enough, Munetaka Murakami will become a free agent at the same time Freddie Freeman's deal with the Dodgers expires.
I hate that last part that you just brought that up. But dude, this was our hot news on the top three. We forgot to bring it up. So that apologies. Thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, going to the White Sox is nuts. Like of all teams too. So if the White Sox, I know he has, poor underlying metrics that people are concerned about. Whatever, I feel like a lot of these players, you are kind of gambling on what their outcome is going to be once they get to the big leagues. That being said, so there's a famous baseball card, arguably the most famous card of all time. I don't know why it has a number in front of it, but it's called the T206 Honus Wagner card. So this card, for those who don't know, I believe it was available on the back of cigarette boxes back in the day. I think there's like less than whatever. Hey, if you want to pull up some T206 Honus Wagner card stats while I'm going through this, I'd appreciate it. But essentially, the card is so rare that it's going to auction next month. And this is per the Athletics' Brooks Peck, Golden Auctions founder and CEO Ken Golden, which there's a show on Netflix if anyone hasn't watched it. His company is handling the sale. It's estimated the card is going to sell between $5 to $7 million. So Peck from The Athletic also mentioned that the auction record for a T206 Wagner is $6.6 million. That was back in 2021. Inflation, baby. This one's going up. And while the highest overall price is a $7.25 million purchase for this card, that was in a private sale brokered by Golden back in 2022. So this card easily is going to fetch, I think, north of $6.5 million. I think it's closer to 8. Hagen, any fun stats you find out about this card?
Yeah, so just looking up, it says it's kind of a hard range to tell here. What I'm seeing is around 60 Honus Wagner cards there are in this specific model. There's no PSA 10s, there's no PSA 9s, there's only one PSA 8.
Dude, and like, I'm going to pull it up real quick just so people could see it, but it is a beautiful, beautiful looking card. And it is just, it's crazy. So this family, I think, has had it for 113 years. You can see my screen. This is it. It's a baseball card with its own Wikipedia page. So the company who made American Tobacco. Okay, I was right with the cigarette thing. I haven't had to look too much into this card because I'm never going to get it one, but it's crazy that a baseball card is going to sell for somewhere in the high millions. But that being said, one man's trash, another man's treasure. Hagen, anything else from you before we hang out?
Just one quick stat. I put it out there earlier today. Just a little Mets one. It blows my mind that I don't know if this is more sad for the Mets as an organization or just show how generational Juan Soto is as a player. If you take the leaderboards of WAR leaders for the New York Mets players in the last 10 years, Juan Soto's already 8th on there, only playing one season.
Jeez. Last 10 years, you said?
Yeah, all 10 years. I mean, it's crazy showing how good he is, but also kind of sad to show the Mets really had no one besides that entire core that was dismantled.
10 years isn't that big of a it's like a good data set, but I feel it's like not that big. Like, because like I'm thinking Mets 10 years, like Lindor's got to be up there, Alonso's got to be up there. I would assume. I'm trying to think of like other Mets players. I'm not thinking.
Drew Cabrera was above him. Michael Conforto was above him. I believe Neil Walker was right below him. Who?
DeGrom, is he above him?
Oh, sorry. This was hitters only.
Oh, trying to think what other Mets there are. Yeah, like there. I feel like the Mets have had a lot of random players. Not like trying to think who's the guy who cried when he got traded. Wilmer Flores. Like I'm just like thinking of Mets throughout the last like decade. But no, that is interesting. That is interesting.
I mean, the only ones that were above him there. So obviously, in Soto too, it was only 5.8 F4 here. It was from 1 to 8 to Soto. It was Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil, Alonso, Michael Conforto, Asdrubal Cabrera, Francisco Alvarez, then Juan Soto.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's been the core of the team the last 10 years has been Nimmo, McNeil, Alonso, and like Lindor. So I get that. Well, thank you for listening. Follow us on social media and grab your merch from the store. Uh, read some of the articles posted this week. I will be posting about the AL West tomorrow and get one free agent that each team in that division can use to catch the Mariners in the divisional race. Any Skipper's View announcements? No, nothing this week. This is most likely our last episode of the year. So, Hagen, it's been a wonderful year adding you to this team and having you as a full-time co-producer with me and co-host. Outside of that, anyone else who's listening, thank you very much for listening. Give us a follow, give us a like. It helps us grow. And Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate.